Greetings and happy new moon in Leo. Today we have the Leo new moon and we also have Mercury retrograde, and things are unfolding in the world and in ourselves in ways that can be difficult to wrap our minds around sometimes. So I want to break that down a little bit. I am Marina Orms here with your Astro vibe for Thursday, July 24th, and the new moon is exact at 12:10 p.m. Pacific time at 2 degrees Leo. And as I shared on Sunday, this new moon forms a very interesting cradle formation. Interesting in part because we have this ongoing outer planet alignment. And so what happens when the outer planets form these patterns? They tend to stay in the sky for quite a while, and then the moon and the inner planets that move faster, like Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, even, they can move into an alignment with the existing outer planet patterns to form a more sophisticated pattern, if you will. And in this case, we have a cradle formation, which is 4 points of a six-pointed star. So the ongoing outer planet double sextile between Pluto, Neptune, and Saturn together, and Uranus now in Gemini is already bringing shift and change. And if you've noticed things unfolding that people are talking about as unprecedented, sort of new territory, these are uncharted waters, these kinds of terms that we hear in the way that things are being talked about around us, we can also feel those themes showing up inside of ourselves, things moving, shifting, new truths emerging and being revealed, deeper understanding. If you are doing your own self-care work and working on yourself to heal your past, your traumas, and be the person you need to be to manifest the life you want to live, because right, we are the center of our universe. And so if you're going to sit around and blaming everything else for why you don't have what you want, you're not really looking where you have the actual power, which is in yourself and how you think about things, what you believe, how you take care of yourself. All of these things contribute to your own empowerment and ability to manifest the things you want. So that was a little aside, but it's important because we are looking at today's Leo new moon and this cradle alignment, which we're going to have more of as time goes on, because this outer planet double sextile is with us for the rest of this decade. And so as these inner planets move, they will form this cradle pattern with what is already existing as basically 3 points of a six-pointed star. And so anytime the moon, the sun, the inner planets move into that fourth point, we have this cradle. So this is introducing us to these energies, and in many ways, because we have Saturn and Neptune just now in Aries, we have Uranus just now in Gemini, right? This has all happened since this spring. So March and May and July, really recent. So that's already pushing us into uncharted territory. And this new moon is just activating all of that, saying, do you want to change in the ways you need to change? Do you want to focus on what you want to create? Because there is this support for doing the magic and the manifestation and setting the positive intentions and doing the healing work. There is some nice support from the universe to help push us in the direction we are pointed. So if you're not consciously choosing what direction you want to go, then you're going to be blown in the direction that you're unconsciously feeding, potentially. So I talked about that in my video on Sunday. So highly, highly recommend that video for more about today's cradle formation with the Leo new moon. And yeah, we also have this other piece that I want to talk about, and that is Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrograde, anytime Mercury is retrograde, which happens fairly regularly, right? A few times a year, we go through this review process. So Mercury, the planet of thinking and communication and how we make sense of things, right? How we think about things goes backward. It reviews territory it's already covered. And so that takes us inward to go, okay, I've already made this decision or I've already thought this through, but now let me rethink it. Let me reevaluate. Let me consider what I already have concluded or decided and reconsider that decision, but also reconsider thinking and also deepening into what it is we have to learn. So, Mercury is about the mind, it's about our understanding, and it's about what we're learning. So, we are in this process with Mercury retrograde in Leo, taking us back over old territory about how we see ourselves, how we express ourselves, how we show up and share of who we are, share our essence, how we show up in the world. And so there is a review process taking place in asking ourselves, how am I showing up in the world? What am I learning about what results that gets me? About how I might want to do it differently, about how I might want to think differently about who I am, how I express who I am, and how I show up in the world. Because Leo is ruled by the sun, it's that energy of expression and shining and being seen. And so, how are we being seen? And what do we need to reconsider about what we are expressing and how that is being seen? So, what I see unfolding around this new moon, the image that comes to my mind is if you live near the coast, and some of us spend more time maybe at the ocean than others, and also where I grew up on the East Coast, we had sandy beaches. And not a lot of rocky tide pools and stuff. So where I live now on the West Coast, and I know the northern coast of on the East Coast, is more rocky and all that. So anyway, the point is that I am thinking about what I notice here on the West Coast when the tide is in. And the tide is in, the water is high, right? It comes up high on the beach, but it also covers up those rocky tide pools. You don't see them. You see the water. That's all you see. It just looks like water. It's ocean. And so that is the illusion of what it is we tell ourselves, what it is we see in the world, how we choose to see that, how we choose to interact with what we see, or how we understand the world to be, right? That illusion, if you will, in the sense that all of our get really esoteric, all all of our life experiences ultimately are an illusion. This is kind of the dream that we have, right, while we're alive in this life. Anyway, so and obviously we have to be real because things are real. But when that illusion is there, when the tide is high, we can ignore things. We can deny them, we can forget about them, and then the tide goes out. And what it does is it reveals what's going on under the surface in those tide pools, which is in a tide pool, there's a vast ecosystem. It is teeming with life. It is teeming with things you could not see when it was being covered up by the tide. And so, if we can think about what's going on in ourselves and in the world right now, it's like that curtain has been pulled back, the tide has gone out. We are being exposed to truths that perhaps we have been able to ignore or deny or pretend or just go about our lives without thinking about. And for better or worse, all of that, and this is all of us. I'm not just talking about people who may be lost in a fantasy or whatever. I'm talking about all of us and the ways that we are noticing within ourselves what is being revealed. So, Mercury retrograde is taking us on this deeper process of learning about who we are, about how we show up in the world, where that comes from, what we need to learn about it, what we need to learn about ourselves. And then we have the moon in Leo and the sun coming together, and the new moon activating these outer planets that are in new territory, uncharted waters, bringing us into places we have not been. But at the same time, what it's doing is it's activating that deeper truth, that deeper place of knowing that when we tap into it, we can be more real with ourselves, more honest, and that is where the deeper healing takes place. So I'm not talking about will we be okay? Will we not be okay? Will the world do its healing work? Will the world, go in a different direction? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what can you do with this energy? And this energy, when you recognize that what might be emerging or surfacing for you is about your own deeper truth, is about things in the world that maybe you couldn't see or didn't want to see or sort of pretended weren't there, and how you are going to grapple with how that speaks to your own Leonian. Leo is about shining, self-expression. It's also about courage, heart, and generosity, right? The word courage means heart. And so being brave in our little true selves, authentic selves. So what are you learning about what kind of courage it that you can tap into when you are more aware of these deeper truths that are revealing themselves from below the surface or below the place where the illusion was, that we can now see more clearly. And so those are my thoughts for today. We are this cradle being activated. We will continue to have these energies. In fact, the outer planets are going to retrograde. Some of them are already retrograde and going to return to the old ways of being. So Saturn and Neptune will retrograde back to Pisces. Uranus will retrograde back to Taurus. That is toward the fall and later this year and into the beginning of 2026, at least Uranus, not until after spring of 2026. Um, but so we're getting the taste now of what it's going to feel like going forward, but there is time. There is time to integrate what we are learning, what we are discovering. This is not like 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 you have to do it now or you lose the game kind of feel. This is much more of a like, let's come to terms with what deeper truths we couldn't see before and how we're going to grapple with those truths, how they affect our ways of being, how they affect the ways we think strategically, creatively, how we innovate, how we live our lives. So let it percolate into you. Don't feel like you have to react. In fact, it's that reactivity that is part of the illusion, right? The illusion is saying if you don't do something now, it's all lost. So instead, recognize that this is a long game and the work that you do on that deeper level matters. So, paying attention to yourself, your own needs, how you express yourself, what you are learning, how you are changing in the process of learning these new truths or discovering things that maybe you have known about, but you haven't really had to integrate or deal with, and what that's going to look like for you going forward. And give yourself time, give yourself love. Courage means love also. And so love yourself, do that self-care work that is so, so important, and continue to deepen into what is being revealed for you. Trust that process and support yourself in what you need to move through that process, because that is what is truly important at this time. So I've got a guided meditation to support you in working with this new moon, and that is available at astrologyheals.com. And by the way, if you join my member program at the $5 a month level, you do get one free guided meditation. So maybe this is your opportunity to join at that upgraded level, paid subscriber level, and then you can use the coupon code to get the current guided meditation for this powerful Leo new moon. I will have all the links in the description for this video. So you you click where it says join Astrology Heals. You sign up there with a paid membership, and then you can access the post that says a free guided meditation for members. You get the coupon code there. You take it to astrologyheals.com. You purchase the guided meditation with the coupon code, and it's yours. So I hope that that is helpful and that the guided meditation can support you in your own process. The title of the guided meditation is Your Voice Makes a Difference, and it literally does, as I talked about yesterday. So thank you so much for being here and for all that you do to take care of yourself, your own self-care, and to be doing your own healing work and part of the healing of the world around you. I'm Marina Orms. Astrologyheals.com is my website. My member program is linked in the description for this video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. That is another way to support my work and see more of it, which is what I am working on. So thank you so much, and I will see you next time with more astrology for unshakable self-care. Bye for now.